morning and welcome back to the woods. Now in this video I'm going to attempt to light a fire with this knife, which is the Victorinox rangerwood. Now I've done a video on this before and it was in the winter, and I lit a fire with this and using an axe to process the wood. Knife performed well, not perfectly but very well. Well, I've modified this knife a little bit. Not a hell of a lot, but it has been modified. First thing, I've bought a fire ant and the tinder from Tortoise gear in the US, which I've bought stuff from before, and they're an excellent company to deal with. Really fast delivery. I think it only took a week for my order to come from the States, so very impressed with them. Well, the main thing I've done to it, I've had to play with the grind. Now, the edge starts about there on this, which I thought was a complete waste of space. So I've put it on the grinder and I've taken it back. Now, it's not particularly pretty, but it's a lot further back than it was originally, and I've sharpened it up. And I've sharpened it basically with the same angle I put on my Scandi grinds. Now this does make for a very fine edge on a flat grind knife, so this edge now is quite delicate. Well, I'm not intending to do any heavy work with it anyway, but what I'm thinking to myself is, if it does chip or roll, I don't think it would roll, it would probably chip, I'm going to convex the edge, but I'm going to keep that much with this grind, so I can feather wood nicely and make nice fine curls. And then with this portion I'll just convex it, but that's if it chips, and if I'm careful it won't. The other modification I've made is to the screwdriver, and I did this on my other folding locking Victorinox. That's all I've done, is I've ground that sharp. So that edge by there now is really sharp for use with the fire ant. Well, if you watched last week's video where I actually failed to light the fire with a 10-inch blade camp knife, down to my laziness, down to the knife being just that bit too big for making feather sticks, well, this week I'm going to use that knife and the time I took last week to process the wood. I'm going to spend that same amount of time looking for dry twigs and dry fuel, small fuel. I'll probably start my star fire again, because there's no point burning through loads of wood if you don't have to, and I'm only here making brews anyway. So that's the plan. I'm going to go off into the woods, find plenty of sticks. I'll be using the tinder. I'll probably use half of the tinder, and I'll make a couple of small feather sticks. Conserve, gotta conserve. And then after I've got a fire going, I'll attempt to light some other tinders with the fire ant and see how we go. Because from experience, these tiny little ferro rods, they need to be used with a man-made tinder or something incredibly fine. And incredibly fine tinders I don't find in my woods. There's probably some thistle heads further out in the fields on the side of the road, but I didn't see any on the way in, so I didn't gather any. Right, well, I'm going off to get some sticks now. I'm not going to take you with me, and there's a reason for that, because I read a comment on a video. It wasn't one of mine, I think it was on a friend of mine's video, and the guy had written, "Why do you people feel the need to show us you snapping twigs? We all know how to snap twigs." So I thought, yeah, it is probably quite boring viewing, so I'm not taking you with me. Okay. Well, that didn't take long. There's a freshly fallen tree not far away, dead, bone dry. Now I've hit a snag. Simply, the sticks aren't quite straight enough to make a nice feather stick, and I should really split one down. But I'm a bit dubious about this edge. So what I'll probably do is make a pile of shavings to go this one pathetic feather stick. And now comes the fiddly bit, which you really wouldn't want to do in the rain. I'm going to do this on a piece of bark, just in case things fly everywhere. Now I haven't done this before, I haven't tried it at home or anything. That is a fresh ferro rod. Now one thing I did think of, because these are so small and fiddly, was opening the corkscrew out, twisting it in, so I got something more to hang on. Something more to hang on to. But there's a failing with that. My striker's on here, so obviously I can't do that. All the plans of mice and men, as they say. I'm going to take the shine off it. Here we go. Well, this doesn't want to light. I'll try the saw. Well, this is extremely disappointing. Right, done. Well, it took a bit of fiddling, but it worked. Yeah, the back of the spine of the saw was definitely better than my modification. But I know that modification, if you're using a big ferro rod, it works a treat. And then you don't risk yourself cutting yourself on the sharp saw. So, fire's going, and now the tea is going on. I decided to bring my GSI kettle out today. I highly rate this kettle. This is my favourite kettle. Tell you one thing, it's bloody hot by that fire. It's not exactly, although it's overcast, it's quite a nice day. It's reasonably warm. And I'm quite warm now in my nice new shirt. And the obligatory Metallica t-shirt. Now the large branch I gathered earlier for fire lighting, I snapped it quite easily, but it didn't snap it all the way. And the reason was, there's a bit of fat wood in there. From experience though, I know that this spruce fat wood in these woods isn't very good. So it wasn't really worth the time of trying to shave that down and making any shavings. The sticks I used were brilliant. They were so thin and dry, I could not fail basically. I didn't even need to make shavings on a feather stick. I could have lit that bundle from the fire ant Tinder. Yeah, so just thought I'd say. My logs are caught now, so I'm going to start fire it. One thing I've found with the star fire over the last couple of years using them, they seem to work like a wood gas stove in a way, because you put them together, they tick along, they keep the heat in, but when you actually want to brew or use the fire, if you want flames, just put some twigs on, they go up straight away. You know, you've got a little flame when they're feeding off each other, but it's a bit of a crappy flame. So that's what I do. I just put some twigs in when I want to get a brew going. But it's a great way of conserving fuel, especially in the warmer months. If you just want brews, just want to keep the bugs down, it ticks along just great. On them logs now, I'll probably get, I lit them last week, so they burnt for say, I don't know, 3 hours or something, and then be the same today, and I'll probably get another 2 or 3 visits out of them. You know, if you're splitting wood down and burning splits, you're going to go through it like hell. But that takes away nicely. Don't use it in the winter though. It's damp, low pressure. You need that good burn in the winter. I'd say the pressure's a bit low today, but it is warm. Now for tea. I've had my cup of tea. I'm going to try and light some Tinders. You may notice I've moved from my seat because the smoke was coming straight towards me. Now the great Kohansky, I remember him saying, when you've got a group fire, you need double the amount of seats for the people. So if you've got 6 people, you need 12 seats, so everybody can move around and avoid the smoke. Well, I've got 2. Birch bark, the bushcrafter's choice, and a feather stick. Now I've got to be honest with you, I do not think for 1 minute I'm going to light the feather stick with this tiny ferro rod. If I tease this up enough, there's a good chance I will. Let's see. I think I'll make a few fine curls on here first. They're pretty fine as they are, but not fine enough. super fine. Now a way to practice making super fine feather sticks is to use a match. Try making tiny feathers on a match. It's not easy, but it's good practice. At this point, I'm thinking to myself, I'm just going to waste this ferro rod. I'm going to use it up and break it. And then something amazing happens. Oh my god, I actually did it. Oh my god, I actually did it. I was not expecting that. But if I hadn't made them tiny curls, there's no way that would have lit. I'm chuffed to bits. I genuinely am absolutely chuffed to bits. Now, funny thing is, I failed miserably lighting a feather stick with the Firefly. And that's a far bigger ferro rod than that. So, yeah, I'm quite happy about that. Right, now let's try some birch bark. Oh well, went out. Well, that worked too. I should have probably made more scrapings. It would have lasted longer. But the main thing is, it lit. I'm giving it a thumbs up. I'm giving it a thumbs up, even if it's small. I wouldn't rely on it. It's a backup, simple as that. But I think that's how they market it anyway, is as a backup. I was quite disappointed how much work it took to light the tinder, but that was probably down to me using my modification. Modified knife, fire ant, thumbs up for me. I'd say a 6 out of 10. Does what it says on the tin. Well, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Took something from it, learned from my mistakes. Didn't really make many, so that's pretty good. On the next video, it'll probably be the next video, I'm going to review this thing, and this is a Paskook, Chinese company making survival-y stuff, fire necklace. That's going to be the next video, which I'm going to film now. Thanks for watching. Thumbs up is always appreciated, and thank you to my pal Tony who got me that knife, and thank you to Tortoise Gear who got that my order in really quick. I was impressed. Top company to deal with. Excellent. I also bought some water bags off them for my survival kit project, which is in the making, so if you're waiting for that, I'm sourcing stuff. One of the main things I've had made for me, I've found one thing which is going in there. There's quite a few things going in there, but I'm still working on it because I want this kit to be a really good, usable, no gimmick kit. Until next time, ta-ra. I hate birch bark. I despise the stuff.